Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folari. By now, it's no news anymore. As the president said on the inauguration day, it's gone, talking about fuel subsidy. But there still is a lot of talk. It has generated a lot of reactions. And indeed, one of those shall be our guest, the perspectives of our guest this morning, Honorable Hilliard Etta, former acting national chairman of APC, is our guest. He reaches us from our Abuja studio this morning. Good morning to you, Mr. Etta.
Good morning, my brother, Yuri. It's been a while.
Thank you. Indeed. Thank you very much for making the time for us. Now, it's a very, very serious matter because it is thought that this is going to affect everybody. In fact, nobody is saying it won't affect. Everybody is saying that, yep, it is a bitter pill, but it needs to be swallowed. To quote just one voice, the chief, the head of NNPC has said that if we don't have this fuel subsidy removal, there is every danger that Nigeria could go bankrupt, as one of his reasons for it. Our topic today is Nigeria's fraudulent subsidy regime. And that is coming from a wide swathe of the society who believe that, it's not a real thing. So, Honorable Etta, how do you see it?
Well, thank you very much for having me this morning. I think this is my first time here after the inauguration of the 16th President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His
right.
Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It is indeed very sad that it took the very courageous President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to put a stop to this fraud. If you do the numbers, it will shock you that Nigeria spends about 7.6 trillion naira every year to do a subsidy on petroleum products. And this amounts to about $16.5 billion at the central bank rate of foreign exchange. Now, to know the value of these humongous amounts of money that we're talking about, you need to now put it in proper perspective. To construct a kilometer of road in Nigeria costs between approximately 300 million naira to about 1.5 billion naira, depending on the topography and other variables. So it would mean that the money that we expend on subsidy in a year in Nigeria is capable of doing between 10 to 25,000 kilometers of road in Nigeria. And you know what this means to the road deficit that we presently have in Nigeria. To construct a turbine, a gas-powered electricity turbine, one gas turbine cost about approximately $2.5 million. And that will mean that the monies that we expend on subsidy will give us about 65 turbines in Nigeria that can generate over, I'm not very particular, I don't have that figure, but I know that the generating set that we have in my place that was built by General Obasanjo was to generate about 500 megawatts of electricity, and it has, I would think, about 5 turbines. And so this is huge. Now, if you also further investigate, you will find to your chagrin that the 2022 national budget of the Republic of Ghana was approximately about $12 billion US. far less than what we spend on petroleum subsidy. The same thing for the budget of Cameroon, the Republic of Cameroon, which was approximately about $11 billion as of last year. So it is scary that we were doing this until last Monday, where the president put a stop to it. There is something that Nigerians must have a conversation about, which is the cost of what they call the landing cost. That is about, from the records of the NNPC that is available to us, the landing cost of a liter of fuel is about 359 naira per liter. Now, which means that if Nigeria were to produce its own fuel, if the refineries that we have in Nigeria were to produce the fuel that we need in Nigeria, it means that about 359 naira will be taken away from the cost of fuel per liter. That is not to say that other variables may not come in terms of transportation and all of that. So what I'm saying is that the external variable within the context of the cost of a liter of fuel in Nigeria that is part of the subsidy is too huge. Whereas if you take away 185 naira that was the government regulated price of a liter of fuel, and then look at the 359 that was added to it as the subsidy on the liter of fuel, it is too huge a burden for any nation to have undertaken. It is exciting. I am very glad that the president has put a stop to this.
Now, when the word fraudulent is used, and that has been used quite often by commentators in this sector, in spite of all the explanations that we're getting, Nigerians just don't seem to trust that the whole business of fuel subsidy as it is transparent, and that it is favoring, a tiny slice of our population, which is really up there. So this whole question about the fraudulent aspect of it and how difficult it is going to be, because these guys have been, benefiting from this all this while. And so, who was it that I heard saying it of recent that, look, you go this kind of a route, there's going to be a pushback. Address that aspect, that allegation of fraud in the system, if you will.
Well, it is very correct for people to say so, because almost everything about the subsidy regime is shrouded in secrecy. In fact, the 359 naira that is quoted as landing charges, they just give us the figure. I mean, nobody has ever been able to explain to us that, okay, if you transport petroleum products from this port to a Nigerian port, this is how much it's going to cost you, or this is what the customs charge. Nobody has been able to break it down for us. For instance, there are ports that are nearer to Nigeria than other ports. Is it that all of them charge the same amounts of money? So there are so many things that are shrouded in secrecy within the regime of subsidy. And again, if we subsidize and we sell at 185 and 195 naira, and our neighbors like Ghana sells at about 830 naira. I don't know what Togo sells at. I don't know what Republic of Benin sells at, but I know it is far higher than 185 naira. So what it means is that you are just encouraging people to take fuel, subsidized fuel from Nigeria to the neighboring countries. In fact, there is a conversation around a figure that is bandied around by the NNPC. People are questioning whether truly we are using 60 million liters of fuel per day. Now, all of that is because there is profits to be made. If our petroleum products are sold at competitive prices, I believe that there will be no to smuggle it out of the country and make humongous profits as people are presently doing. So it is true that not much is known about the subsidy regime. And anything that is shrouded in secrecy, anything that is done under the table, of course, you know what the consequences are. So it is true that a lot of people are suspicious, very extremely suspicious, about whether there is even subsidy or not. In fact, people go to the extreme to ask whether there is subsidy or not. So it is important that we deregulate the market. Now that we have the Dangote refinery, and I even forgot to tell you that it is said that the Dangote refinery cost about $19 billion to build, whereas Nigeria spent $16.5 billion on subsidy last year. What it means is that if Nigeria were to add only $2.5 billion to the monies that we expended on subsidy, Nigeria would have been able to build the biggest single train refinery in the world, just like Dangote has done. And flowing from what Dangote has done, it means that by August, that we will now have enough fuel refined in Nigeria. We will now not be talking about the landing cost. It therefore means that fuel must necessarily be cheaper than what it is presently sold at the pump stations today. Remember also that beyond the repairs of the government-owned refineries, there is also a very large refinery going on built by the Boa Company in Akwa Ibom State. I am not sure that I have the dates of the completion at hand, but I do know that in no distant future, that refinery will also come on stream. There are about 3 or 4 modular refineries in the Niger Delta that I know that are at points of completion. What I therefore mean is that within the next few months or in a year, at the most, that Nigeria will have enough petroleum products refined in Nigeria without the variables of what they call landing cost. And so I believe that petroleum products will necessarily come down in terms of the pricing.
Indeed, we have heard that, and we do hope it is so. But again, you also spoke about the shrouding in secrecy. Now, all of that secrecy and Nigerians trying to understand what exactly are the goings on inside the oil sector. When the chief executive of NNPC was briefing the ruling party yesterday at the Secretariat, he had said that there is no data on the volume of petrol consumed in the country. There is no data on the volume of fuel consumed in the country, but that of offloading from depots is always available. You know, I've still been scratching my head over that. Maybe you can help give us your understanding. Maybe, you know, if there is no data on the number of liters of fuel that we are consuming on a daily basis, but that there is always there is always, you know, data on offloading from the depots. What did you understand that to mean?
I think it's quite unfortunate that it is coming from him. One would have expected that he would be in a position to tell Nigerians at least approximately what we consume as fuel in Nigeria. If he cannot tell us, I wonder who can. I mean, this is some of the contradictions that we have in our government that is perplexing. And I do know that a man of numbers has assumed the presidency of Nigeria. In no time, these things will get them. We will not have to go to any government office to get details of things like this. We will just click on your phone or your computer and you'll get it. These are information that should be at the tip of the fingers of all Nigerians. It is extremely unfortunate that kind of that kind of information can come from the man that they came from yesterday. It's so heart-rending that we can be in the 21st century, we can be in 2023, and a man who is charged with the responsibility of importing or regulating the importation of fuel in Nigeria is telling us that he does not have the data of how much fuel is imported in Nigeria. I believe that this has been the kind of story that we have been having from government offices in the past decades, and it is not good enough. And I know the president that we have today, I know that those kinds of things will not happen under his watch.
Indeed.
And this is what is exciting about the new president. This is what is exciting about the new regime, the new sheriff that is in town. This is the reason some of us did everything to make sure that he became the president of Nigeria. We are very happy that God has answered our prayers, that we will have a government that is modern, a government that is responsive, a government that is not a joke, because that seemed to me to be a joke. I mean, if you're in your house and you do not know the number of children that you have in your house as a father, then you're a joke of a father. That is exactly the kind of sentiment that I hold about things like that and people like that.
Okay, and the vice president has also chipped in. He said that, look, this fuel subsidy thing, if we don't get rid of it like the president, he was speaking on the president having got rid of it on Monday. If we don't get rid of it as the president indeed announced, it will get rid of this fuel subsidy thing, will get rid of our economy. Therefore, thereby sort of, aligning himself with this is a task that must be done. And I don't think very many people disagree. However, the method, and I hesitate to use the word palliatives. I heard Dele Alake, one of the people who are speaking for the government now, saying that not so much a palliative as an intervention. But I wanted to ask you, do you have the understanding, do you have the impression that, unlike people are saying, can you please reverse this and let us talk, we have until the end of June before, why are you starting us at the beginning of June? Can you sort of understand those people? Because, they have serious, gripes as well. This is going to bite very, very hard.
I agree that it's going to bite initially. I mean, most new things do. But it's like having to consume a very bitter medicine for an ailment. There is no better time to have it. You better have it as soon as you can to deal with the ailment that is affecting you. I am not bothered about the time. The timing is right. I have heard people talk about the honeymoon that the president ought to have enjoyed. I don't think that he came here to enjoy any honeymoon. He came here to take very difficult decisions, and removal of subsidy is one of those decisions that he had to take as a great leader that we all know him to be. Now, coming to talk about, there's another thing that you said.
Yes, whether subsidy, although it was referred to by Dele Alake yesterday as interventions.
No, when I hear palliatives, I laugh.
You're right.
Because...
Thank you. Please continue.
Yes. Yeah.
Palliatives.
Can I go on?
Or, yes, palliatives or interventions.
No. When I hear palliatives, I laugh, because most times when Nigerians want to take, when Nigerian governments want to take the people for a ride, they bring out such words as palliatives or subsidy, cushioning, and all of those kinds of things. The best thing to do at this point is to expand our economy using the instrumentalities of some fiscal and monetary policies to expand our economies, find jobs for people, create wealth, expand the revenue, and make people rich, make Nigerians rich, give opportunities to Nigerians to thrive. That is what the president is intending to do. If you read his article, of faith, I liken his manifesto to his article of faith, his contract with Nigerians. He has made it very clear that he wants to expand the economy, he wants to expand the revenue base, he wants to use the instrumentality of fiscal and monetary policies to deal with the issues of us importing everything and all of the things that we can, that we use in Nigeria. For instance, in 2016, Nigeria expended $18 million to import toothpick. If that is not despicable, if that is not completely, I don't know the word to use, where I come from, the raw material for toothpick is lying waste in the forest of Akampa, where I come from. And yet we expend $18 million to import toothpicks. Not only are we not using the raw materials that God has given to us, we have also taken the jobs that we would have created and taken them to China. The same thing for tomato paste. We expended $400 million in the importation of tomato paste in 2016. And you know that Nigeria is capable, more than capable, of producing the tomato paste that Nigerians can use. What I'm saying in essence is that there are so many things, especially consumer goods, that we can produce in this country. And the president has promised us that he's going to use the instrumentality of some fiscal and monetary and trade policies to make sure that those industries are established in Nigeria, jobs are created, revenue base is expanded. And again, before I go, I would like for Nigerians to read the Renewed Hope document. You will see one of the fundamental pillars of the Tinubu administration, I dare to tell you, is that the interest rate and the foreign exchange regime will be seriously tackled in a manner that will help to expand the industrial and the productive base of the Nigerian economy, and again, close the window for corruption and humongous fraud in the foreign exchange regime in such a manner that it will affect the economy positively. The moment the economy is expanded, the moment the productive base is expanded, the moment people can establish industries, service units with loans that they can pay, because no country simply can develop with the kind of interest rates that is presently in Nigeria, which is between 18 and 30%. No country. I do not know of any country that has developed with that kind of regime. And he has promised to tackle those ones. Those are the things that we need for him to focus, not to talk about palliatives. Oh, they are going to buy many buses. Those are, for me, is tokenism.
Okay, one moment.
Tokenism
Let me bring
and scam.
I beg your pardon. Let me bring in Mr. Balogun, calling in from the UK. Good morning, Mr. Balogun.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good
nice
morning,
to see
sir.
you again. I've been wanting to see you. Thank you, sir. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Uncle Yori, what an interesting time for Nigeria. It's a very, very interesting time. And I'm happy that our able president be able to hold the bull by the horn. Very, very appreciated. Some of us in diaspora, we have a lot back home. And we're telling them this is the right decision to be taken. But, however, what I think that we need to do at this time around, because of the peculiarity of our country, I hear people on the news saying abroad. Please, Nigerians, don't be deceived by these people who have not even gone to Ghana. And they are talking about abroad. And this is done in abroad. During COVID, that is done. A television station this morning, somebody was quoting, they gave a check. Somebody is in Nigeria, he has a check. It is not true. It is not true. But in our own case, what I think we should do here, we have to go the way we are going now. There's no point for him to go back.
Oh, we lost Mr. Balogun, but I think he did get the crux of his matter out. Thank you for calling in, Mr. Balogun. Well, Honorable Etta, you were hearing that, I don't know, I wanted to ask without prejudice to all that you have said by way of explaining the situation we are in now, and one of the major things we're doing to confront and address it, there still is the matter of surviving to reap the benefits of, that will come from all of this. And that is Labour's position. Labour's position yesterday at this meeting that was not resolved, as you know, I think Labour was doing its job, wasn't it? It was looking out for the Nigerian worker and was saying how, in fact, Labour accused the federal government of holding a gun, a metaphoric gun to its head, in negotiating. So how do you pull this kind of a move and then say, okay, let's talk? You've done it. And, okay, I understand Balogun is back. The call dropped. Mr. Balogun, would you like to conclude your thoughts?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is that, number one, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. What I'm trying to say here is that what I think that should be done is not left for the state. The state, but most especially, look at Lagos State now. I think it's only Lagos State I remember. I don't know other states. What they need to do now is, in terms of transportation.
Okay.
Transportation. Lagos State government should now make their transport easy. Students should be free. The age, 60, should be free. And then they should bring down these prices so that people could be able to go to work. And then these other people, if you go by a cab, that is your problem, then they should add more buses. We need more buses. Other states should do the same. It is not federal. They should not put this burden on federal. It's not done.
Okay, Mr. Balogun, thank you very much for calling in and indeed for calling back. Appreciate you and appreciate your call. So, as I was saying, Honorable Letta, what do you think? Labour doing its job, looking out for Nigerian workers, it says that they're in an impossible situation. And I think, although I don't know how far Labour will get with its, as it was referred to, I think a reporter asked the Labour leader what his prayer was, and it was to return to the status quo. But Labour, generally speaking, is doing its job, isn't it? It wants to know how the ordinary man is going to survive in Nigeria. There are those, if you take it to 5,000 naira a litre, they will fill all the tanks of my car. But there are the ordinary people who, with this regime, will not be able to go to work and come back if something isn't done.
Well, I want to join Mr. Balogun in saying that we do not have only one government in Nigeria. Government has tiers, we have some national governments. Apparently, the only one that is working is Lagos. I think that other states should learn to do what Lagos has done. I know that I lived in Lagos, so I know that there is a very efficient ferry service in Lagos that is managed by the Lagos state government. There is a BRT. Now they have the light rail in Lagos. And it is not a coincidence that the architect of all of that is now the leader of Nigeria. Other state governments should know that everything does not begin and end with the federal government. The federal government, naturally, in places where absolute federal system is practiced, is more or less a policy government. The practicalization, the implementation of those policies fall mostly on the subnational and local governments of the polity. So I want to encourage other state governments to know that the route that Lagos State took is not that they don't need to reinvent the wheel to take the same route and get to where Lagos has gotten to today. Having said so, I want to say that yes, my brother Yuri, there is going to be some suffering. Some people are going to go through some stress. I agree with you because there is what they call the multidimensional poverty that is ravaging Nigeria today. I do know that some Nigerians are going to go through stress. But I want to beg Nigerians and plead with them that the man who is at the helm of affairs today understands the workings of modern economy, and that sooner than you know that the price of fuel will come down. And again, not just that, the economy will be expanded in such a way that people will have jobs, people will have economic opportunities to pursue their dreams and all of that. And they should give him maximum support.
Okay.
I believe that for you to be a great leader, you must take some very difficult decisions. He has taken one very difficult decision. There are other very difficult decisions to be taken in Nigeria. And he has shown that he is not scared of taking those decisions. And I'm excited, and I think that Nigerians should be excited that we have a president who is interested in the overall development of Nigeria, not for a few people who hide under the regime of subsidy and feed fat on the resources of Nigeria.
Okay. And indeed, just as you say, some of the things that you said, Mele Kyari, the chief executive of NNPC, had also, mentioned some of those points that, look, this thing is in all likelihood going to come, talking about the pump price of fuel, is in all likelihood going to come down because it will now be dictated by market forces, among other things. Okay, welcome back. And our guest is the former acting national chair of the All Progressives Congress, Honorable Hilliard Etta. He's our guest this morning. And I have a caller calling in from Badagry this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for calling in. Please go ahead.
I'm calling from Bagada State. My contribution to your program is this. As our men here have said earlier on, the problem in this nation is that we are not putting things in place before we act. For example now, there is not anything like electric buses. Like people that are residing in Ikorodu, from the agric in Ikorodu now to Pangrove is 1,500 naira. So how do you cope? Then apart from that, the government go to downsize in terms of their expenditure, probably their cars and properties. Because when we see deputy governor on highways with 4, 5, 7, 8 cars, and you're talking of subsidy, and you are saying there's no money in the purse of the government, how are we going to believe that? Are they going to downsize? The honorable members in Abuja, are they going to downsize? Please, sir, we need to look into this very well. The masses are suffering. This is going to affect a lot of things. Please, do have a blessing, sir. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for calling in Sunday from Bagada. I correct myself, not, I don't know how I heard Badagry that time. So sorry about that. There you have it. Coming back to you, according to Mr. Kyari yesterday, when he was explaining or briefing the APC at its national secretariat, he said last year the federal government paid subsidy. Said payment of subsidy will stop by June 2023, and it budgeted 3.36 trillion naira for the payments. And you've just explained we just can't carry on like that. In fact, Mr. Kyari was saying the same thing, that we're absolutely not able to carry on like that. Now, everybody agrees subsidy has to go. But the sort of way it went, without anything being in place yet, to sort of you know the way Nigerians are feeling, that, look, if I had known that because this has happened, subsidy is going to be affected, and so prices are going to go up. But right now, most people think that we're left naked. We're naked here. We're exactly the way we were the day before President Tinubu announced this. Now he has announced this. It has had its effect, and here we are, no different from day before yesterday, before Tinubu had announced this. So that's an area. What do you think? Do you think it was precipitate? Do you think it was accidental? Or do you think all of this was intentional? That, we will remove it?
No, you see, but before the departure of the former president, President Buhari, of course, Nigerians were told that subsidy will end in June.
In June.
And if you listen to the address of the president, he only agreed with the former president. Now, I do not know if the position of the NNPC is at variance with what the president said or not. I am not part of that conversation. But I do know something. Now, if most stations are selling their fuel for 500 and 550, I would like to say that's about 300, 200 or 300, I'm not too sure. But I think about that's 2 times or 3 times the what it used to be. Now, for you to know the kind of people that we are as Nigerians, the kind of transport cost or the pricing in the transport sector now, does it reflect 200 or 300%? You have people that used to charge 100 naira, charging 500 naira today. Does it reflect 200 and 300%? You see, sometimes we are our worst enemies. Those who are supposed to be the ones that are in the vulnerable sector, the vulnerable demography of Nigeria, in things like this, become the Shylocks of the system.
Yes. They become vultures too.
Because you will be hearing some of, you'll be hearing some kinds of charges that these people put on passengers. You'll be wondering where those charges are coming from, because it does not reflect the increase,
yes,
the percentage, in terms of percentage, it does not reflect the increase in pump price of fuel. So we as a people, we have to address that. Why do we like to hurt each other?
Indeed.
Why do we feel the necessity to take advantage of even people within our social level?
Indeed. These are some of
Because the taxi driver is bringing hardship, undue hardship to the trader who is using his taxi to transport himself from one place to the other. And the trader in the market is using the opportunity that a teacher is coming to buy from him, to also wreak havoc on the economy of that teacher unnecessarily. So we need to examine ourselves. Why do we do the things that we do to ourselves? Why do we find satisfaction in doing those things?
I hear you. Now let me...
Yesterday, somebody was leaving
sorry for interrupting you.
Life camp to the airport in
I beg your pardon for interrupting you.
Yes?
Mazi Okoroafo has been waiting for quite a while. He's calling in from Arochukwu. Good morning, Mazi.
Sayori, I guess, for the past 3 years, our bank and others have been telling Nigerian government, remove subsidy. Even they echoed the same thing. That was in March this year, during their first International Economic Summit. Nigerian government say bye-bye to all this subsidy. Reason that it's only the bushers that the subsidy favors. But the question now is, Nigerians, at least the authority concerned could have looked at the issue of this our Dangote refinery. If Dangote refinery is now working, maybe that they say July, something there, at least that's the way to have, because they talk about this issue of subsidy. But the thing is, most annoying thing is that most of these filling stations that are selling this fuel, they have this fuel as an old stock. But they went and skyrocketed the price, which is not, at least they could have and finished the sales they have. When they bring in new stock, they try to vote. Now, some states, many people are not going to work because of this. But if you
That's exactly what Honorable Etta was just saying, Mazi. Exactly.
Yes. If you check where Sayori, you see that kerosene have been going on, selling at 1 liter 800 naira for the past 3 years. Kerosene. That is 1 liter 800 naira. This over 800 naira for the past 3 years in this country. People will say how many people are using kerosene. But because of that 1 liter per 800, that is why I see many people diverted to gas and not only gas, charcoal, not only firewood. That is why I see the frustration of our bush is so rapid that people have just got to cut all the trees really that would have helped and shed all this erosion. All these things we see that they have side effects. There's nothing in this country that comes out of this. But the thing is this, I will tell the government that all these modular refineries, they should try as much as possible and put them in that you use. And Nigerians should know that this crude oil we export, we are getting more unemployment for Nigeria. Reason, statistics have shown that from crude oil, you extract over 6,000 items from crude oil. Not only petrol, not only kerosene, not only diesel, not only jet. Some of these strategies that all of them are being used with that oil. Good morning. God bless us.
Thank you very much, Mazi. Thank you, Mazi Okora, for calling in. Okay, back to you, Honorable Etta. You see, the situation. I remember once on this program we had Mr. Mele Kyari, who I think he was speaking. It was in the lead up to Nigeria, buying into the Dangote refinery, and he had spoken about the current regime where diesel fuel has been deregulated totally. There are those who are saying, well, we haven't seen the benefit of that. If it has been deregulated totally, the diesel is somewhere in the region of 800. And Mr. Kyari had said at the time that actually it's an anomaly for diesel to be way up there, and then PMS that most people use, at 185. He said it should be the other way around. So it's pretty confusing, but it's a task that must be done. And you spoke about some of those, let me use Mr. Lake's words, interventions that will have to be done. You've spoken about transportation and all of those things, which you also called a sort of a tokenism. But I was making the point that most Nigerians feel left very much on their own, even as they are aware of the necessity of this and want to, in their mind, support it. But you have to be alive to support. I overstated that only.
I agree with you that I should continue.
Yes, please.
Yes, I agree with you that you have to be alive to even benefit from what the new government is going to do. I agree with you that must be in the mind of government. But I am also sure that the government is not oblivious of that fact. But like I said before, my brother intervened from. I think that we really do need to examine ourselves and find out the mathematics, the numbers don't add up. They don't add up. The increment in the things that we, the Nigerians, do between ourselves and the increment of the pump price of fuel does not add up. That's number one, And number two is that very soon, when you were talking about diesel, you must also understand that diesel itself, even though deregulated, was also imported into Nigeria. So diesel also came with these landing charges. That's number one. Number two, I am not also aware that the importation of diesel was deregulated. That is to say that they didn't keep a cap on the price of diesel, but I do not know whether anyone could go to Europe on his or her own and import diesel into Nigeria. That I do not know, because that could be the problem. You see, if it is the NNPC that regulates who imports diesel into the country, then you must also blame the bureaucracy. Apart from the landing charges, it could be that it is because it is regulated in terms of the importation, not in terms of the price.
Okay.
And it may also be a problem. Now, if you say that a market is deregulated, then the NNPC should not be in a position to tell us who to import what.
Indeed.
They can tell us the quantity to import.
Yes.
But they cannot tell us who to import what. I mean, that could be the contradiction that has made for the price of diesel to be where it is.
Okay.
And I do know that even diesel itself is going to be produced in the nation is going to be produced in Nigeria. Not just by Dangote, it's going to be produced by the government refineries. And for your information, I am not of the opinion that the government should keep the refineries. I think that it is not government's business to do business. But that is another discussion for another day. Now, I do know that BUA is also constructing refineries. There are modular refineries that are almost at the stages of completion. When all of these come together, we're going to have a glut in the market. And when that happens, it's economics 101. When you have enough supply, or even you have oversupply, the price will come down. It is natural.
Indeed. And then
because the price at which BUA will sell to the market may be different from the price that Dangote may sell to the market for the market. I usually use the cement as a point in this discussion. In 2019, cement was going for about 2,500, 2,600 naira per bag. Today, cement is going for 4,500. The reason cement is at that price, because cement would, given the inflationary trend in Nigeria, cement would have cost about 10 to 15,000 naira per bag by now if we did not have enough supply in the system. So, the moment we have enough supply of petroleum products, I am very sure that we have enough supply that the prices will come down. It is natural.
Indeed.
And we must define the role of the NNPC. The NNPC may become a cog in the wheel of progress. So we have to be very careful about the role of the NNPC, even in the Nigerian market. Because as of today, I do not think we have a Nigerian market. The refineries, the government refineries are not working.
Okay. Well,
the Dangote refinery is yet to come on stream.
Yeah.
The BUA refinery has not been completed. So we have only a market that has all of the variables are external.
I think the chief executive of NNPC was saying that by law, NNPC will not actually be importing more than 30% of our requirements. And in other words, it would now be thrown up to whoever person or corporate body was interested. And when you have more people in it, just as you were explaining, competitive forces will be engaged and the price will be driven down. If it has to go up, it has to go up. But that with more people, just as you were explaining, it's likely to come down. That was the sort of hope that he was given in trying to give an understanding to the way the article was phrased, give an understanding to the hierarchy, top hierarchy of the ruling party. So yeah, it's a thing that has to be done. All hands seem to be on deck, and Labour, I guess, is going to have to understand this a lot better than it understands it at the moment. Because Labour, and you can imagine it has Nigerian workers behind it, Labour is saying that keep my people stranded.
I should speak. I think I should say a little thing about the Labour. I think Labour is set up to protect the rights and the privileges of workers, and they share the same values with government, because government is not set up at variance with that principle. Government is set up to do exactly the same, to protect the privilege of to protect the welfare Indeed. And the security of every Nigerian citizen in this country. So they are on the same page when it comes to the welfare and security. And when I mean security, it comes with also economic security and all of that. That's right. So they are on the same page. Okay. I think that...
sorry, sir. Let me squeeze in Ada. Ada has called in. I don't know. She usually would have called in before now. Good morning to you, Ada.
Good morning, Sayori, and good morning, Honorable Hilliard. Sayori, I pity President Tinubu. He's just like somebody, the can has been passed on the road and then he has to pull the bull by the horn. That's what is happening, So I think he feels that if he doesn't do it the way he's doing it now, we will never stop this subsidy. This subsidy, as Sally tells that number, it's really fraudulent. A lot of fraud is going on there. But the thing now, what I want to know now is that, for me, the palliative they're talking about, the most effective palliative is to get our refineries working. No, the Dangote own. The Dangote own will not even change the price of fuel. They have even said it, So I don't know. It's more of export-oriented,
all right then, Ada. I'm so sorry, Ada. We've run out of time. Thank you very much for calling in, Ada. So, well, Honorable Etta, thank you for making the time for us. It's we're going to have to keep a close watch on this, and it's such an urgent matter that I'm sure that it's going to be very, very timely. Even they have said they are going to be resuming their talks with between government and labor on Sunday. They're not even waiting for the beginning of the week. So that shows how urgent it is. And so I'm sure very, very shortly, we should be able to see the road a bit more clear as to how we're going to operate this regime. So once more, thank you very much for making time for us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Okay, so that's our program today. Please join us on Monday for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.